You were never the prize, you were the placeholder. The convenient, reliable option she kept on the back burner for a rainy day, for a moment of boredom, for an ego boost when the man she truly desired left her on red. You've been emotionally drained, treated like a last resort, and you've become sick of being the nice guy who is always available, always understanding, and always, ultimately, ignored. She didn't just ignore you. She dismantled you piece by piece, with a weapon so subtle you thought it was her personality. It wasn't. It was a strategy. You're staring at your phone right now, aren't you? Or you remember the feeling perfectly. That cold, dead screen. Hours have passed since you sent that carefully crafted message. The one that was witty, but not desperate. Interested, but not needy. A tactical masterpiece, you thought. And after an eternity of silence, the screen lights up. Heart jumps. It's her. But the notification reveals a single dismissive word. LOL. Or maybe a thumbs up emoji. It's a digital pat on the head. A crumb. And the worst part? You took it. You were grateful for it. You replied instantly, eagerly, trying to keep the dead conversation alive, proving to her once again that you are always there, waiting for her command. A loyal dog waiting for its master to throw a bone. You accepted the terms of your own subjugation. She knows your entire routine. She knows you'll answer in seconds. She knows you'll rearrange your plans for a last-minute invitation. She knows you'll shower her with the validation she craves, the attention she doesn't have to earn. Your predictability has become your prison. You have shown her all your cards, and in doing so, you have given her all the power. Why does the man who offers consistency, loyalty, and genuine interest so often receive contempt in return? Because in the brutal calculus of human attraction, availability is mistaken for low value. You became a utility, a dependable service she could use at her leisure. Not a man she had to win, not a mind she had to conquer. This isn't about being a bad person. It's about a fundamental failure in understanding the dynamics of power. As the ancient strategist Sun Tzu might observe, the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. You weren't even in a fight. You were a voluntary casualty. You laid down your weapons before the battle even began, hoping your surrender would be mistaken for love. It was mistaken for weakness. But what if her behavior, her maddening hot and cold cycles, her sudden disappearances, followed by intense, fleeting moments of affection? What if none of it was a sign of her indecision? What if it was a sign of her control? What if I told you that her casual indifference was not a flaw in her character, but a meticulously crafted weapon? A psychological system designed not to push you away, but to chain you to her. A dark art known as intermittent reinforcement, the very same principle used to get a rat to press a lever obsessively, hoping for a reward that may or may not come. She wasn't being flaky. She was conditioning you, turning your hope into a leash and your emotions into her puppet strings. She was fostering an obsession, an addiction to her validation. And the most chilling part is, it worked. The game was rigged from the start, and you were the only one who didn't know you were playing. Until now. Because tonight, the game changes. We're not just going to analyze her playbook, we're going to burn it and write our own. The story of your transformation from the predictable, eager-to-please man into an enigmatic, self-possessed figure of power begins now. We will track the stages, the crushing weight of her indifference, the cold discovery of her methods, and the turning point where you implement strategic silence and emotional distance, sparking first her confusion, and then a consuming intrigue. By the end, the power dynamic will be completely inverted. She will be caught in the web of her own making, pursuing you relentlessly. You will shift from the disposable option to the cold, detached master of the game. This feeling of being powerless resonates deep in your core. If you're tired of being a pawn in someone else's emotional war, then you have found your command center. Subscribe to this channel, activate all notifications, and press the like button as a declaration that you are done being a resource and are ready to become a force. In the comments below, I want to know two things. First, what city are you fighting from tonight? And second, share the exact moment you realized you were being treated as an option, not a priority. Your story is not a confession of weakness. It is the first entry in a war journal that ends in your absolute victory. Let's be clear. Your fall from power was not an event. It was a process. Slow, silent bleed out of authority that you mistook for compromise, for kindness, for love. It did not happen in a loud argument or a dramatic betrayal. It happened in the quiet moments, in the space between text messages, in the split-second hesitation before you said no. It was a death by 1,000 concessions, and you were the one holding the blade. Nobody is coming to save you. You must first. The rescue operation begins and ends with you, and the first step is a cold, brutal diagnosis of the battlefield. We must dissect your defeat to architect your victory. Your weakening began with the first phase, emotional concession. This is the gateway to subjugation. It started when her bad day became your problem to solve. She would come to you with the chaos of her world, a conflict at work, a fight with a friend, and you, in your desire to be the hero, the provider of comfort, absorbed it all. You became her emotional dumping ground. You thought you were being supportive. What you were actually doing was relinquishing your own emotional state. Your stability became contingent on her mood. If she was unhappy, your mission was to make her happy. You handed her the keys to your own internal peace. She tested. You yielded. She won. Remember the time you had plans to work on your own project, something that mattered to you, but you abandoned them because she called you, upset about something trivial? You told yourself you were being a good partner. The strategic reality? You signaled to her that her emotional whims were more important than your own ambitions. You taught her that she could use her mood as a weapon to command your time and attention. And when you apologized for something that was not your fault, simply to end a conflict she initiated. When you said, "I'm sorry," just to restore the peace. When you apologized, you signed your surrender. You accepted blame to purchase a temporary ceasefire, but in doing so, you lost the war for respect. This led directly to the second phase, the loss of control. Once she controlled your emotional state, controlling your time and actions was the logical next step. It started with small requests. Can you pick this up for me? Can you change your plans? You, eager to please, saw these as opportunities to demonstrate your value. You were wrong. They were compliance tests. Each time you said yes without hesitation, you eroded your own sovereignty. The canceled nights out with your friends because she might be free later. The weekends you kept open, waiting for an invitation that often never came. Your schedule was no longer your own. It was a waiting room for her convenience. It became predictable. She knew you would drop anything for a sliver of her attention. Predictability is the enemy of respect. It signals a lack of a self-directed life, a life that she is merely a part of, not the center of. In the world of power dynamics, a man whose time is not his own is a man who is not his own. You became a utility, as reliable and as unexciting as the tap water. Always there, always available, and completely taken for granted. Her power grew not because she was a master strategist, but because you were an open book, a decoded cipher. She didn't have to wonder what you were thinking or doing. She knew you were waiting. Then came the third, and perhaps most pathetic phase, the quest for validation. Having surrendered your emotional state and your time, you now needed her to tell you that you were worthy. Your self-esteem was no longer internally generated. It was a resource you had to beg from her. This was the era of the carefully crafted text message, the double text, the social media post you hoped she would see. Analyzed her response times, her word choices, the emojis she used. A quick reply was a hit of dopamine. Being left on read for hours was a crushing blow. Her silence is dominance, not distraction. While you were staring at your phone, agonizing, she was living her life, fully aware that she had you in a state of suspended animation. She would throw you a crumb, a like on an old photo, a brief, low-effort message, and watch you scramble for it, grateful. This behavior isn't just weak, it's a broadcast. It screams, "Your opinion of me is more important than my opinion of myself." You were no longer trying to attract her. You were auditioning for her, and she was the sole unimpressed judge. She tested you, and you failed. The test was simple. Would you maintain your own frame, your own sense of self-worth in the face of her indifference? The answer was a resounding no. This addiction to her validation cemented the fourth phase, affective dependency. You were now fully conditioned. You were the rat in the cage, pressing the lever, desperate for the pellet of her affection. This is the dark genius of intermittent reinforcement. By mixing moments of intense warmth with long periods of cold indifference, she created an addiction. The unpredictability of the reward made you work harder for it. You became obsessed with figuring out the pattern, convinced that if you just said the right thing or did the right thing, you could get back to the good times. But you failed to understand. The good times were just bait. They were a calculated investment to ensure your continued compliance during the long, cold periods of silence. The highs were designed to make the lows unbearable without her. You found yourself justifying her behavior. Just busy. She's going through a lot right now. Complicated. No, it is simple. She was feeding an addiction she had cultivated in you. Your emotional state was a yo-yo, and she was holding the string. This entire downward spiral culminates in the final catastrophic error, breaking the silence. Not with strength, but with supplication. The infamous "we need to talk" conversation. You finally muster the courage to express your dissatisfaction. Sit her down and you pour out your heart. You tell her how her inconsistency makes you feel. You list your grievances. You ask for more clarity, more commitment, more respect. You think you are standing up for yourself. From a strategic perspective, you have just committed treason against your own cause. You have handed your enemy a complete dossier on your weaknesses. You have confirmed for her that her hot and cold tactics are working perfectly. You have shown her exactly how to hurt you, what you need, and how desperate you are. You are not negotiating from a position of power. You are begging from a position of profound need. This conversation is never about finding a solution. For her, it is an intelligence-gathering mission. She will respond with just enough reassurance to placate you, just enough false promises to get you to drop your guard and reset the game. Only now she has a more detailed manual on how to control. Now, you may be thinking, but I was just being honest about my feelings. Isn't communication key? This is the lie the nice guy tells himself. Communication is a negotiation between equals. You were not her equal. You had surrendered all your leverage. You were a subject pleading with a monarch. Another objection. I was just trying to be a good, supportive partner. Let's be brutally clear. Kindness is a choice made from a position of strength. Compliance is an action born from a position of fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of her disapproval. You weren't being kind. You were being compliant. You weren't being supportive. You were being subservient. The entire structure of your interaction was built on a foundation of your fear and her power. This diagnosis is not meant to break you. It is meant to awaken you. You must see the architecture of your own prison before you can plan the escape. This pattern of concession, validation-seeking, and dependency is a virus that will infect every interaction in your life until you eradicate it. If you feel a cold fire of recognition burning in your gut, if you are done being a strategic casualty and are ready to become a commander, then it is time to act. Subscribe to this channel, activate all notifications to ensure you receive every tactical briefing, and press the like button as a digital salute to your new mission. In the command center below, the comments section, I demand an honest answer to this question. What was the one harmless favor or compromise you made that, looking back now, you recognize as the first time you surrendered a critical piece of your territory? Your answer is not a confession. It is your first strategic after-action report. The fall was not visible. It happened in the quietest moments. The hesitation before you spoke. The yes you uttered when your entire being screamed no. It was a silent coup, and you were overthrown without a single shot being fired. Until now, the diagnosis is complete. The counterinsurgency is about to begin. There is no going back for the weak. There is only the construction of the new. Let that sentence burn itself into your mind. The man you were, the compliant, available, emotionally generous man, is a casualty of war. You do not mourn him. You do not try to revive him. You will strip his corpse for intelligence and leave it on the battlefield as a warning. Your reconstruction is not a process of healing. It is a process of forging. You are not recovering. You are rearming. This is not about feeling better. It is about becoming better, which is to say, more dangerous. The path forward is governed by 3 supreme commands, the pillars of your new architecture of power. Cut the excess. Install silence. Control the reaction. This is not a negotiation with your weakness. It is its execution. First, you will cut the excess. The excess is everything that made you predictable, available, and therefore worthless in her eyes. It is the hope you nurtured that she would one day see your value. It is the emotional investment you poured into a barren enterprise. It is the mental real estate she occupied rent-free in your head. The cut must be surgical, swift, and absolute. It begins with the immediate and total cessation of all contact initiated by you. Not a pause. This is a full stop. You will not send a final text to explain your absence. An explanation is a plea for understanding. You are done pleading. You will vanish from her digital life. Unfollow. Mute. Do whatever is necessary to remove her feed from your eyes and your digital footprint from hers. You will become a ghost. This act of disappearing is not a tactic to get her attention. It is a declaration of your new sovereignty. You are reclaiming your time, your energy, and your focus. The void you create is not for her to fill. It is for you to build within. You are cutting away the cancerous tissue of dependency. This will feel unnatural. Your conditioning will scream at you to reach out, to check in, to maintain the connection. You will recognize this urge for what it is. The death rattle of the weak man you are leaving behind. Let him die. The second command: install silence. Your silence is not passive. It is a weapon. It is an active, aggressive force that dismantles her sense of control. Before, your constant availability was the background noise of her life, predictable, comforting, and easily ignored. Your silence is a sudden, deafening void. In this void, she will lose her bearings. She has operated on the certainty of your response. By denying it, you deny her data. You deny her validation. You deny her the ego supply she has come to expect as her due. When she eventually reaches out, and she will, because a controller cannot stand a loss of control, your silence will be your answer. Let the message sit there. Read. Let the call go to voicemail. Each hour that passes with no response from you is an hour her certainty erodes and is replaced by a question. Why isn't he answering? That question is the seed of obsession. Her mind, a pattern-seeking machine, will go into overdrive, trying to solve the problem of your absence. Has he met someone else? Did I go too far? Is he angry? Is he no longer interested? You are forcing her to think about you more than she ever did when you were showering her with attention. Be the absence that weighs heavily, not the presence that begs. Your silence communicates more power than 1,000 well-written words ever could. It communicates that your world does not stop when she is not in it. It communicates that your attention is a privilege, not a utility. She will test this new reality. She will send a low-effort message, a meme, an inside joke, expecting the familiar, eager reply. Your continued silence is the response. You are teaching her a new language, the language of your value, and the first word is no. The third command is the most difficult because the battle is internal. Control the reaction. When you cut her off and install silence, you create a power vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so does a manipulator. She will launch a counter-offensive to regain control. This will not be a direct assault. It will be subtle. It might be a concerned message. Hey, is everything okay? Haven't heard from you. It might be a provocation, a social media post designed to elicit a jealous response. It might be a sudden burst of the warmth and affection you once craved. These are not genuine gestures. They are tactical probes. She is testing your defenses, looking for the cracks in your new armor. She is searching for the weak, predictable man she once controlled. Your mission is to show her that man is dead. This requires an iron discipline over your own emotional state. You will feel the surge of adrenaline, the pull of nostalgia, the sting of anger. You must observe these feelings as a general observes enemy movements on a map. with cold, detached analysis. You do not act on them. To react emotionally is to surrender your frame and prove her tactics still work. Interaction is absolutely unavoidable. It must be minimal, dispassionate, and unpredictable. Your responses, if you choose to give them, will be delayed. They will be short. They will be devoid of emotional investment. You are no longer a participant in her drama. You are a bored spectator who is about to change the channel. This entire reconstruction is fueled by a relentless, all-consuming focus on building your own hierarchy. The king does not worry about the opinions of a commoner because he is busy running a kingdom. You will build your kingdom. The silence you create is not an empty space for you to sit and wait. It is the construction site for your new self. You will channel every ounce of energy you once wasted on the 4 pillars of masculine power. Physical form. You will train your body with the discipline of a warrior, forging it into a vessel of strength and presence. Your financial empire. You will become obsessed with your mission, your career, your ability to generate resources and power in the material world. Your social dominion. You will build a network of allies, cultivate new friendships, and create a rich, engaging life that she is not a part of. You will be seen. You will be active. You will generate social proof that your value is not tied to her approval. And your symbolic power. You will acquire skills, read books, master a craft. You will become a man of substance, a man whose mind is as formidable as his presence. This is the great inversion. You are not trying to win her back. You are building a life of such immense value that she becomes irrelevant. The goal is not to make her miss the man you were. The goal is to make her utterly intimidated by the man you are becoming. A man who wants to be loved will be discarded. A man who imposes his presence will be feared. And fear is a far more potent and lasting form of respect than affection ever will be. This is not a game of hope. It is a campaign. Outcome is not left to chance. It is engineered by your discipline. You are not getting over her. You are replacing her. You are replacing the weakness she cultivated in you with an unbreakable core of self-possessed power. Don't reconquer. Replace with a sharper silence. You are ready to stop being a casualty and start being a commander. If you are prepared to burn the old you to the ground and build an empire from the ashes, then solidify your commitment. Subscribe to this channel, activate all notifications for your daily strategic briefings, and press the like button as a salute to the war you are about to win. Now answer this in the comments below, not for me, but for you. As you begin to impose this strategic silence, what is the single greatest fear that your old, weaker self whispers in your ear? And what is the cold, hard truth you will use to execute that fear? Acknowledge the enemy within so you can destroy him. The campaign begins now. The endgame does not arrive with a trumpet blast. It arrives in the dead of night, as a notification on a silent phone. It's her. But this is not the low-effort crumb from your past. There is no lol, no emoji. This is a paragraph. A wall of text filled with carefully chosen words of nostalgia, feigned concern, and a baited hook disguised as an apology. She speaks of old times. She mentions a song, a place, a memory she knows was important to you. She finishes with a question designed to be irresistible. I was just thinking about you. How have you been? This is not a message. This is a summons. The queen is calling her court jester back, expecting him to come running, cap in hand, grateful for the attention. She has fired her final weapon, manufactured intimacy. She believes she is offering you a lifeline back to her world. She has no idea she is looking at a ghost. You read the message. You don't feel anger. You don't feel triumph. You don't feel the ghost of a sting. You feel what a geologist feels when looking at a rock. A mild academic curiosity. You analyze its composition. You see the layers of manipulation, the sediment of ego, the fault lines of desperation. Her words are a museum exhibit of the tactics that once held you captive. You see the intermittent reinforcement, the appeal to past validation, the attempt to reestablish the emotional connection she severed. And in this cold, clinical analysis, you realize the final truth. Your power was never in her actions. It was in your reaction. And you have no reaction left to give. You are a dead circuit. The electricity she sends has nowhere to go. You see the message, you put the phone down, and you go back to reading your book. You go back to building your empire. You go back to living a life in which she is nothing more than a forgotten artifact. Hours pass. Days pass. The message sits there, a digital tombstone marking the death of her control. Her confusion will curdle into panic. She will send another message, this one more urgent. Are you okay? I'm getting worried. This is a classic escalation. She is shifting from seduction to concern, attempting to leverage your old programming as a nice guy who wouldn't want to make a woman worry. It is a compliance test wrapped in the language of care. Your silence is the only answer she will ever receive. It is a silence that tells her more than any angry rant ever could. It tells her that her emotional state is no longer your responsibility. It tells her that her concern is irrelevant. It tells her that you are not playing the game. This is the moment she finally understands. The board has been flipped, but you aren't standing on the other side, gloating. You've walked away from the table. You left the game. You are in a different room, in a different reality, one that you built while she was busy playing with her pawns. Her game seems small, pathetic, and meaningless from where you now stand. This is not emotional vengeance. Vengeance is a transaction with the past. It requires you to still care enough to inflict pain. You are beyond that. This is emotional extinction. You have not just ignored her. You have erased the emotional reality in which she held any significance. She has become a stranger you once knew, a footnote in a chapter you have long since finished writing. The man she is desperately trying to reach no longer exists. She dismantled him, piece by piece, and from the wreckage, you built a king. And a king does not concern himself with the whispers of ghosts from a fallen kingdom. He is too busy ruling his own. Her attempts to contact you now are like arrows shot at a fortress. They clatter harmlessly against stone walls she can no longer even see, let alone breach. The legacy of this war is not her defeat, it is your ascension. You did not do this for her. You did not transform yourself into a figure of power to win her approval or to make her regret her choices. That would still be making her the center of your universe. You did this for you. You forged yourself in the fires of her indifference because you understood that her disrespect was merely a symptom of your own lack of self-dominion. You mastered the dark arts not to become a better manipulator, but immune to manipulation. You learned the enemy's tactics to build impenetrable defenses. The power you now wield is not for controlling others. It is for the absolute, unshakable control of yourself, your reality, and your destiny. You have learned the ultimate lesson of power. True dominion is not the ability to make someone crawl back to you. It is the ability to make their absence or presence utterly inconsequential to your state of mind. You have achieved a peace that is more profound than any victory, a peace born from complete and total self-possession. Let this be the final command etched onto your soul. Respect is not given. It is not requested. It is not negotiated. It is the silent, inevitable consequence of power. You do not demand it with words. You impose it with your absence. You project it with your focus. You radiate it with the cold, hard certainty of a man who knows his own value because he has spent every waking moment building it from scratch. You became the prize you were once trying to win. If this new reality is the fortress you are ready to build for yourself, then make your declaration now. Subscribe to this channel, activate all notifications to arm yourself for the wars to come, and press the like button as a final salute to the weak man you are leaving behind forever. Comments below, I want you to answer one final question to seal your transformation. Now that you have become the architect of your own reality, what is the one single word you would use to describe the feeling of her finally realizing she is completely and utterly irrelevant to you? Your answer is the first brick in your new kingdom. Your greatest revenge wasn't making her want you. It was making her watch you want nothing from her at all.